If you want to compare two different measures, for example, sales versus unit sales versus revenue, then a really common visualization for doing that is a scatter chart. And scatter charts are easy to build in Power BI as well. Let's take a look. In my visualizations pane, I'll see there's an icon in the middle here for the scatter chart. So when I tick this one, I get a visual template. And you can see in the fields well, there's a whole bunch of different options that I've got to use to build my scatter chart. So for example, let's take a look at, as I said, revenue versus unit sales. And this is something that we see that's very common when people are first building these scatter charts. They just get one single bubble here in the middle. And that's because we're aggregating your total revenue and your total unit sales across all of your data. And typically people want to actually split that out and look at some details. And to do that, you need to use this details field at the top. So let's take our category of products and drag that into details. And now you can see I get one bubble for each of our different categories. So we can see our urban category's got the highest revenue in units, then the rural category, and then the other two are down the bottom. And I can keep adding more data into this to build up this scatter chart a bit further. So for example, let's take our manufacturer and add that into the legend. And now you can see I get different coloured circles for each of the different manufacturers. So it's actually the Van Arsdale products in that urban category that are driving most of that revenue and unit sales. Compare that to this rural category Natura manufactured things. They've got a fairly high unit sales, but actually quite low revenue compared to the Van Arsdale ones. I can also add another measure to control the size of these bubbles. So let's take our sales variance and drop that into size. And now you can see I've got different sized bubbles depending on that variance value. Let's make this a little bit bigger, so I've got a bit more space, and you can see the differences between some of these packed ones down here. I've actually got a whole bunch of formatting options as well that are available to me to control the look and feel of this. I could do things like turning the labels on and off so that I can actually identify each bubble. I can turn a colour stroke around the edge of these bubbles on and off, and that can really help, particularly down here where you've got lots of overlapping bubbles. And I can obviously go in and control each of the individual colours as we could do with any of the other charts. There's one more thing that we can show that's really useful here actually, and that's at the bottom of the field well we have this play axis option, and this allows us to animate this over time. So if I drag year onto the bottom here, you can see that I've now got a timeline along the bottom showing me each of the different years in my data. Currently we're looking at the 2015 data, but if I click on a particular year, we'll animate the bubbles and move them around for those different time periods. And I can even hit play and let that run through to animate them and show me those changes over time. If I pause this here on 2005, let's actually look at the progress that urban Van Arsdale category made over that time period. By clicking on the bubble, I get this trace showing me the previous periods for the bubbles that I select. And if I hold down Control and click another one of these, I can toggle between showing the different the trace lines for the different bubbles. Let's hit play again, and you'll see the animation continues, and that trace line sticks around. So I can track right through to the end of my data where those bubbles were plotted on this chart showing me the revenue against units. So you can see that we had a good sort of growth over the first few years, but in more recent years things have declined, and actually we're at our lowest revenue in units in 2015 than we've ever had. Maybe that's because we're only halfway through 2015. So you can see a scatter chart's a really good way of comparing these two different, or even three different measures on your x-axis, your y-axis in the size of the bubbles. But then we can also track that and animate it over time to get an idea of how that data is changing year over year as we animate through.